podcast about Catholic things. This is Eric, the ambassador of common sense, and I'm here with
Dan, the ambassador of nonsense. Welcome, everyone.
And I'm going to apologize right now for the terrible audio quality. I'm in a hotel recording from my laptop instead of my microphone, so it is. I'll try to.
So, are you using your laptop mic, or did you pack a mic?
I forgot to pack a mic.
Oh, well, it can be annoying. Although, if you have, because you have one of those, what are they called, Blue Yetis or whatever?
Yeah.
That they come with a stand, I think. I don't even know what the stand for mine is.
Right, me neither. But here's the thing: whenever you put a Blue Yeti in the normal stand that you have, it sits on a desk, and then every move you make on the desk comes through like bam.
Oh, okay. So it always sounds like poppy and creaky and scratchy and
like I wonder if
like you're constantly moving around and fumbling stuff.
What's his name? Timothy Gordon. I wonder if he just got a new microphone because he bangs the desk a lot, and it like literally hurts my ears when he does it.
Oh,
like
I know that. He does it to like punctuate stuff.
It's like, okay, but you can do that if your microphone is suspended, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't come through as hard, but
yeah.
Maybe he doesn't know that.
It's kind of annoying, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's hard to listen sometimes.
Even when it doesn't hurt your ears, it's annoying.
Yeah. The other thing is that I'm in a hotel room, so I'm not smoking. And I didn't realize how loud these vape things are until I recorded. We did one and I was vaping, and I thought, well, that's my vape. I will try to cut it out.
You know what? It's funny you bring that up, though, because you remember when Timothy Gordon was with Taylor Marshall, they called it TNT.
Yeah.
And I would always hear this sound during their podcast that was like somebody sucking in real hard, like,
yeah.
And I always wondered, is one of them like smoking or something?
They're probably vaping because
that makes more sense because I don't hear that sound when I'm with somebody who's smoking.
Yeah.
Unless they're smoking a certain kind of cigarette.
Unless they're smoking weed or something. But
that's right.
Thing is, kids today don't even smoke that way. Like, I mean...
What, do they smoke it like cigarettes?
Yeah, they treat it like a cigarette. And I'm about to reveal... I was with someone who was smoking, and they were doing it like a cigarette. I said, what do you mean? I said, you're wasting almost all of your chemicals. And this guy swore up and down that all of the THC absorbed into the body within the first few seconds, and that holding it in the way kids used to when we were growing up, that's pointless and useless.
Huh. Did you ever research it?
Yeah, he's wrong. He's completely wrong. I guess it's more comfortable to do it that way, but
I guess. And then it doesn't look like you're doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, the topic today is something that I've never heard anyone.
Okay.
First of all, I'm going to go to
By the way, do we need to do a parent warning? Hey, folks, I do not know what the topic is today.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not... I'm going to try to keep, but
okay.
We're going to talk about things that are frank, and it's kind of gross. But it's mainly about trans. And I'm looking for... Daggone it, I was just looking at an article so that... back in 1971, there was a, quote, girl... There was a model named Tracy African Norman, and I guess she did a lot of stuff like Clairol and Avon, and then people found out she was a man. She wasn't.
Had been a man all along.
Yeah, looked like her.
Mm-hmm. So they used a drag queen as their model,
right?
Their ad model.
I don't like calling them transgender. I usually say transvestite, and like people get mad at me when I do it because it's like man dresses or presents as a woman. It's a transvestite, or a woman as a man. There's no such thing as transgen because you can't transgender.
You just dress yourself up different.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that as of late, transvestites who have had operations to make them look more feminine are kind of becoming all the rage. For example, they're going mainstream in advertising, and people like MasterCard and Starbucks are a part of it. Valentina Sampaio, was a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. This is a man.
Oh, wow. That's gross.
If I'm reading this right. See, that's the problem, is that they say so-and-so and talk about it, the person, as if she's a girl, and then they say transgender. I'm assuming that means she's a man.
She's a man, who
calls himself a woman.
Yeah.
Anna Jacafong is a transvestite who now owns the Miss Universe pageant.
Huh. So I guess Miss Universe can start. There's going to be a crossover between Miss Universe and Mr. Universe or something.
I guess so. There is no
Miss Universe could be a Mr.
Universe. Apparently, Miss Nevada is a band.
Oh wow! Like the actual Miss Nevada.
Yeah.
Now, so was this known when he
in Miss USA? Yeah, it was.
When he took the title, was it known?
Yes.
That's gross. Okay, I guess that tells you about pageanteers in Nevada.
Right. Or anywhere, to be honest.
Probably pageanteer. You know what's weird about this is that even though like men are doing this, like making themselves to look like women and then going in and women and you know, getting women positions as models or winning women pageants or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not like there's like this dropping of the distinction between a man and a woman. When a man does this, he's imitating specifically a woman. He's not just going in as a man and doing it at a woman's at an otherwise woman's pageant.
Kind of.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but hear me out on this, because most people are saying, well, this is the woke ideology. This is this weird clown world where we need to prove that there is no woman and man, even though this man is claiming to be a woman. And it's kind of, everything's topsy-turvy. And that's...
I agree with that.
Where all of this is coming from, most people think. But I think this is something different.
Okay.
Think about the caricature of a woman, like Roger Rabbit's wife. What's her name? Remember?
Oh yeah, Jessica Rabbit. Right.
Jessica
Yeah.
Rabbit.
I know what you mean. The
Jessica
caricature
Rabbit.
of a woman. What? Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then every time Bugs Bunny dressed up as a woman,
that's
she moved.
Exact. Yeah. That's mm-hmm. Right.
The plain and simple fact is, women don't really move that way. Women don't really talk or walk that way. Marilyn Monroe is probably the real world woman that most of these models are based off after. But
maybe a few of them, like Mae West.
Yeah. But those were women who were famous for doing that.
Oh, right.
Which is what, I guess, what you could say most men wanted women to do. But the plain and simple fact is, women don't do that normally.
They don't really. Yeah, that's true.
Their hips do not sway that way. And they don't...
Unless they're trying to.
Unless they're trying to attract...
There is such a thing as a woman sort of putting on a show.
Yeah. But she's specifically doing it to catch the eye of men.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And it's just, to me, what's happening here is that men know what they want a woman to be or look like and sound like. And so these gays are becoming better at being women according to what men want. And they're striving
because
for
they're
that.
Men.
Because they're men, because they know what we're looking for.
Even if they're gay, they know what men want in women.
Right. And so the weird lisp and the weird talk that you hear transvestites do, that's not how women talk.
No, not.
I've never heard a woman really.
That's not even how men want women to talk.
Right. And the thing is, it's not necessarily that that's what men want. It's just that that's the kind of thing that sells to men. For example,
right.
I mean, think of Ginger in Gilligan's Island. She was the movie star. She was supposed to be the sexy one. But most men will admit they thought Marianne was sexier.
Yeah.
But still, she's the one we talk about as the model. And I think that's what this is. I think we're going to see more and more of it. I don't think it's going anywhere. Because when I look at these models that they say are transvestites, they look like women to me.
Oh, right.
I'll bet her sway is bigger than all the others. You know what I mean? When she moves down that whatever they have.
Whatever it is. Runway or...
Yeah. I don't even know what... I don't even know what models do. I mean, they're in magazines, but they talk about runway models. I'm like, what? Do people go and watch women walk up and down in clothes? And I guess that's something some people to do.
I mean, there's a whole world out there of people who, it's kind of weird. I mean, it's like, it's a whole culture of rich people who consume stuff that rich people make for rich people to see and consume, and like fashion is part of this. And it's like, okay, so you have these fashion shows, these women walk and they come out with the stuff, and then famous rich actors and actresses use the people who designed this stuff that we're presenting on these runways in order to design their clothes at events like Academy Awards and stuff like that.
Yeah. See, I would imagine feminists would be really angry about all. I don't know why we're not hearing.
You would have thought.
Because it's like, okay, we're going to, as a female, as a collective group, we're going to overtake all the different industries. We're going to put more and more women in top positions in all these industries. Even though in the end,
we're going to break the idea that womanhood has anything to do with what womanhood really is, which is motherhood.
Right.
And instead, we're going to make it so that womanhood is about, competing on the same level with all these things that men do, basically breaking the distinction between men and women.
Right. And
that's what I was saying before. Then these men these transvestites who are doing this as women are doing it as women. What's weird about it is that in a very strange and sick kind of, way that almost makes you want to throw up, these gay transvestites or whatever are reinforcing that man-woman distinction that the feminists were trying to get rid of.
Right. And the funny thing is that distinction was there all along. And the problem is that it was made kind of unreal,
right.
Again, as people like Marilyn Monroe, think of Fonzie, the Happy Days. Mm-hmm. Every woman looked a certain way. And that wasn't all natural. I mean, I don't know what they used, some kind of support or something, but every single woman was very large in certain areas. And it didn't look natural because women don't look that way. I don't know how it wasn't natural because I don't know what kind of underwear it was those days. But it wasn't natural. It was attractive, but it wasn't what women really are.
Yeah, it wasn't real.
And then at the other end of the spectrum, there were all these women in power doing all these nasty, disgusting things, like trying to become men. And that wasn't real either. And that wasn't natural. And now we've got those two worlds colliding because men have crept into the other end of that world. Men have crept into the sexy woman world, and they're taking it over. While women are trying to creep into the powerful man world and trying to take that over. But it's not really working because the really powerful people are almost always men.
Yeah.
When a woman gets in power, usually that's the end of that organization or industry, unless they're getting help from the government or something.
I mean, no matter how many times they try to profile woman leader this, woman leader that, or whatever, in reality, in really ultra powerful positions, women very rarely last long.
Yeah, I mean, and if they
without things falling apart,
they become some of the most hated people in history. Look at Nancy Pelosi. Nobody admires Nancy. Disgusting. Yeah. Other than the fact that they want to have that much power.
But they want the power, but they don't admire her. Even as a man, they don't admire her. You know what I mean? Right. Even considered as a man, because she is a woman and the way she does what she does is different than a man would.
Yeah.
Same thing with Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton, yeah. I was going to think of that. I mean, there are many women out there who think I want to be Hillary Clinton, but they don't want to be Hillary Clinton. They want to have Hillary Clinton's power. They don't want to be the most cheated woman in America.
Yeah.
The most cheated on woman in America. That's what Rush Limbaugh used to.
Oh, yeah. The most cheated on woman in America.
But this gender dysphoria is spreading, I think, into the culture, but in a weird way that I don't think people realize. I don't think people understand men make better women. Men make better leaders, but we also make better women. We can be a woman better than a woman because we know what a woman ought to be. I'm not being, I'm being somewhat sarcastic here, but when it comes to what is going to sell for women, we can not only show men, but we can show other women how to be sexy better than other women.
Right.
So when a little girl is looking and either trying to figure out what she wants to do, either A, be a Hillary Clinton, or B, be a mommy of kids, or C, be a Marilyn Monroe. The Marilyn Monroe role model now are transvestites, not real women.
Not actual women.
The only real women are still at home, having kids, raising kids, doing all the things that are feminine. And they don't look at all like Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
Or I don't know any of the transvestite names. There's a bunch of them out there. But I don't know their names. And I can't even tell which ones are boys and girls. So whatever. I think it was Charlie told me, not told me, but told someone in that. But apparently Charlie research on this is that part of transvestite operation involve messing up the bowel area. And because of that, men who have had this done end up leaking a lot. And
it's like the whole surgical thing.
Yeah. And they smell terrible all the time.
Gosh.
Someone told me, I don't know if it's because I don't know, I've never met a who had these, but whoever told me worked with someone. I think it was one of your sons discussed it. And I didn't know that. They don't talk about that. If that's true, these kids need to be told this. You're going to smell for most of your life, and you're going to need a diaper. Because it'll leak. So you might think, wow, you have a female part, but you'll also have a diaper stinky.
And no man wants to go near your female part.
Yeah, no guy would. Oh, wow. I think it's probably only gay men who like transvestite guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I happened to go on a date and I found out it was a guy,
you'd be disgusted. You'd be like, "Oh, get out of here."
I think most guys would. Any straight guy. The only guys who
go shower with Brillo
bisexual.
pads or something.
Yeah, I got to scrub after that. Scrub my reputation, my body, and everything else. I don't know. There's a level of irony here because, and then I mean that's not to even mention the sports world where for some reason there's a big thing now with the fighting contests and women's wrestling and the MMA and stuff like that. And then men are getting into that as women. But again, they're better at it because they're men and they're crushing.
See, that's what's weird about women. That I mean, certainly all of it's related somehow, but I almost see that as a different kind of phenomenon. Okay, so the men who are better able simply because they know it, that they know the male psyche better able to get out there on a runway or whatever and sort of exemplify the the sex symbol model kind of thing. Okay, that's one thing. But these guys who are getting into women's sports and that kind of stuff, I mean, don't you feel like these are maybe just guys who can't actually compete and this is a way for them to win?
That's definite. But what I don't understand the women who are with them.
Yeah, why are women okay with this?
So I know there are some women who aren't, but like the guy who was wrestling women and like hurting them really bad. And it's like, why are women thinking that they're going to stand a chance here? Have they been that brainwashed where they think they're as good in sports as men and that they stand a chance with this guy?
Yeah,
it's so weird. I don't understand any of this other than I do understand that men find a certain sway or way of doing things, someone like hypersexualized. You know what I mean? That's the thing about it, is that they try to make it feminine. What it's not really feminine. It's just sexualized in a feminine way. That's what the walk of Marilyn Monroe was.
Oh, right.
It wasn't really feminine.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying, if a woman's walking that way, it's because she's putting on a show. She's trying to attract a mate, basically. That's what I meant. It's not a feminine walk, it's a sexual walk, but it's the female version of that. It's like the guy strutting.
So men know how to sexualize the movements and the looks and even the voice of women. They know how to make it sexually feminine, and they're better at doing that than women. Maybe most women can't. Maybe most women could not sway their hips the way.
Oh yeah, like
Ginger,
these transvestite models do.
Jessica
example.
Rabbit did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that takes certain muscles to do that. And I think most women couldn't.
Right.
But probably most men could. They'd feel really gay.
Or,
but they could if they wanted to.
Right. Or that, I mean, it's possible. Here's the thing. Because you know that we grew up very much into... I mean, feminism was in full swing by the time we were growing up. It's not like we ever got a look at the pre-feminism world.
Right.
So it's possible that once upon a time, women were more aware of how men were seeing them. And that if they wanted to do that in order to turn a man's eye, they had the ability, perhaps. And that feminism sort of blew that. I don't know. But
that could be the case. Yeah, I mean...
And that's why all the women today now don't really know how to do it, but men still do.
Yeah, it's an odd thing. And I say keep your eyes open over the next... Because it's not just that transvestites are going to get more and more involved in marketing, but it's that they're marketing to little girls and teenagers and young women. Instead of marketing to transvestite. I would expect it if you're marketing to a bunch of gay wads, but I think they're being used to market real girls, real women, because women see that and think, well, that's what I want to look like.
That's what I need to be.
Walk out. That's how I need to be in order to catch a man or attract one or whatever they want. But I don't know. I haven't heard that talked about any. I thought I'd get up. And there's not really a whole lot to say about it other than what we...
No, but it is... I hadn't even really thought about that. But until you started bringing up some of the things, I didn't even realize how pervasive it was.
Yeah.
The whole transvestite incursion into... I don't know, the
women's roles.
Call it the industry of women. I don't mean an industry run and owned by women, but like there's an industry of really kind of using women to sell things. Right. You're not quite selling the woman, but you're selling the image, and you're really selling something that's attached to the image. And I didn't even realize how much of that was transvestite rather than real women.
You know what? I didn't either. As I was getting ready to talk about this, I thought, well, okay, I got to come up with new names. And I thought,
and
holy cows, it's everywhere. I mean, it's not even all that uncommon now.
Wow.
I mean, I just looked at transgender models, and I'm seeing the top 50 models, Wow. And it's like, holy cows, there are 50 men dressing as women, selling things to other women. That's insane.
And getting to, do whatever, sashay on stage or whatever it is they do.
That's odd. That's really odd. But it kind of goes into what just talked about. It's another one of these things that I guess in some ways kind of a logical inclusion. I mean, if you're going to say that there's no difference in women and men, it's not illogical. It's not in any way logical at all. None of it is. None of it makes any sense.
No, that's what I was saying. The whole men and women are the same thing can't possibly lead to this, because this is, hey, look, I'm going to be a woman. I'm going to present as a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do it better than a woman. But it's almost weird. It's like, I mean, let's suppose, imagine, like you said, I mean, these guys who are doing this are in ads that are advertising to young girls, preteens, teenagers, and so forth. And you could imagine like a bunch of men getting together and saying, our women have stopped acting, our women aren't like putting themselves out sexy enough for us. Let's go show them how to do it and start, getting into these positions and advertising to girls that are young so that they see that that's how they're supposed to do it. I'm not proposing that as a thing that could possibly be what's happening. But it's like the guys who are doing this, it's like, what's their motivation? Because like you said, they mess themselves up. There's no way that their basic physical existence is enjoyable on a day-to-day basis.
Right. It can't be. I mean, and on top of that, there's no way that they can possibly think that the average man could find them attractive after knowing who they are.
Right.
So what if they look somewhat attractive without knowing what they are? Once you know what they are, it's just not attractive. It's gross.
Yeah, it's disgusting and gross and repulsive.
So
I don't know.
The whole
Somebody
thing is
could...
like really, they accuse guys like us of being misogynistic. But that's much more misogynistic.
Yeah.
Hiring a male to show a female how to be a female? That's terrible.
Yeah, you want to talk about hating what women are.
Talk about, masculine. I mean, talk about male pigs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's kind of exactly.
Ultimate. These men taking over the jobs of the most feminine to show women how to be feminine. No woman should be putting up with it.
Yeah.
If Avon hires one of these, if I were a woman, I'd never buy Avon again.
Yeah.
Tried to hire a man to show me how to be a woman. Forget you.
Or any of the, the things that women buy.
Yeah.
Avon or the various products at the department store counter and stuff like that.
Perfumes.
Mm-hmm.
I think women ought to pay much more. And I think if it becomes a thing that gets more and more popular, you're going to see more and more young girls acting more and more that way in order to become more feminine when they're
but it's not really feminine.
It's not feminine.
Well, that's I've noticed that having kids in schools and going to various school productions, and even in primary grades, they'll have productions that they put on that. And I don't know whether that involve a certain amount of choreography or whatever. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, I only had, one girl going through this. I mean, by the time I married my wife, her daughter from previous was, she was like 7 or 8 at the time. And so by the time we kind of got things grounded and that kind of stuff, I mean, she was moving on into, high school and stuff pretty quickly. But I only had one girl going through a lot of this stuff. I think for most of that time she was homeschooled. And then I had a couple who we put into the schools after that and going to like shows that they would be in. Well, okay, the boys, it didn't matter. They didn't do that kind of stuff. But I would see that these girls, primary school aged girls, were like cavorting in an almost suggestive way on the stage in these productions.
Really?
Now, I don't know whether the teachers who were in charge of these were teaching them that, or if it was just, okay, here's the steps that you're going to do, and they were seeing that in other places outside, and so they're thinking this is how a girl does those steps.
Yeah, I don't.
But this is creeping in at an extremely early age for young girls.
Shame. I mean, as said over and over, it's no longer a Christian culture, certainly not a Catholic. And
I think it's practically becoming a pornographic culture.
Yeah, very quickly.
I mean, like almost openly.
And then from there we go where? Sodom and Gomorrah? And that's what is happening. I mean,
yeah. And I don't know how it's going to end or where it's going to end.
You and I are the male chauvinist pig, but I'm not trying to show a female how to be female. I'm just, I happen to say what I think a female ought to be, but I don't try to show it. Here,
I'll try to go and replace the female with myself.
Talk like this with a lisp. It's weird.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I might tell a woman, okay, here's what you ought to do to be womanly. But I don't go try to displace a woman.
Yeah. Here, you're doing it wrong. Let me show you.
Yeah. In fact, just go away and let me do it.
That seems like what's going on.
Which is what these transvestites are doing.
I don't know why more about this.
Yeah, me neither. It's really weird, especially when you consider like the whole outspoken anger thing of the feminist movement. We will not be silenced and all that kind of stuff. And yet they're just completely silent about this stuff.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, there's a few pockets of women who are against it.
See, but I thought it was odd that the feminists weren't more against pornography. And pornography I mean, let's face it. Once the internet hit, it was like an explosion. It was like,
yeah.
And no feminist seems to be upset about it. And I always thought that was odd.
It kind of shows you that feminism is not what it might seem to be. It shows you that feminism is not at its roots
not about empowering
desire to elevate women. In fact, it goes even more, in my opinion, to what I consider feminism to be, which is this idea of wanting to completely divorce the idea of being a woman from the idea of being a mother, because pornography like hits right at the heart of that. It's like, this thing that is the woman's body is here for purposes that have nothing to do with being a mother.
Yeah.
And the use of that body is not it needs to be separated from the reality of possibility of becoming a mother. And pornography completely exemplifies that.
That's really exactly, because even a feminist will be okay with feminine things. Like, I mean, a feminist will be okay to sit and talk about shoes all day. Women love shoes, you know?
Yeah. So or even put their hair in a feminine style, wear a,
I'm a woman. I like to wear
pink
shoes.
Outfit, whatever.
And I like to talk about shoes. And I like to do everything shoe connected. But the second...
Paint their fingernails.
Their fingernails. But the second you come to motherhood, it's completely rejected.
That's what the feminists reject.
Unless it's a test or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
As long as no man is present for that. But even then, usually they would encourage a surrogate.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a woman might choose to become a mother. But, the feminists are even okay with that as long as that's not something that's tied specifically to the fact of her being a woman.
Yeah. It's like a thing on the side. Yeah. I'll be there.
Which maybe that's why... See, when you think of it that way, that is why they're really okay with this whole, men are showing women how to be women, because now they no longer have to accept sort of the brute fact that only a woman can be a mother. Now you've got women who can't be mothers because of these transvestites. I mean, to us, they're still men who just mutilated themselves, but if they could get them accepted as women, there's women. Some women can be mothers, some can't be mothers. The ones who can might choose to be, but that has nothing to do with womanhood. Right. And that's really what the feminists are after, is the divorce of womanhood from motherhood.
Sad, we're destroying all the good parts.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like they want to get rid of everything that it really means to be human.
Encourage people to listen to our demonic discussion podcast back before Halloween, where that was...
Yeah. Oh, are they?
Yeah, no, better than everything else.
Because of your cool effects.
Cool sound effects.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have anything else to say about that. You?
Nope, I think we've exhausted the topic.
I guess news is going to be difficult for me here because I don't have my two great big monitors back. The Pentagon announces it will send over, and then it lists a whole bunch of weapons as part of the latest $400 million weapon package for it to happen. And I think most people kind of screw it at the point. Maybe some people don't. So it's just so weird. The fact that we spent decades trying to avoid a fight with Russia, mostly because we knew that could very easily balloon into a clear war, and just within a year, it's like everybody's forgot all that.
Oh, yeah.
And forgot about the danger that looms over something like that, Russia's nuclear capability. Frightening. NASA announces that approximately a 15-foot by 15-foot section of the Space Shuttle Challenger has been found.
Oh, wow. Where was it found?
Look, because I outlined that story, and then I meant to come back to it and look up more information, and it would
be kind of funny if they, I don't know how to say funny, it was a tragedy, but if they found this section and then came back and said, oh, we were completely wrong about why it blew up.
Yeah, I can't find it. They found it in an ocean.
I would imagine.
Found in a long time.
Atlantic somewhere.
Yeah. In the Atlantic Ocean. It was found by divers. It's the first debris found since 1990.
Okay.
So it's probably not in very good shape. So
yeah. But still.
Yeah. Some of the I read these things about how bad the food situation is and how it's about to get much worse. And they're saying because of currency depreciation, it's called inflation, and the war in Ukraine. And it bugs me because the war in Ukraine has nothing to do with our food problem. It's also because Bill Gates keeps buying farmland and not
using it. That's why we have a food shortage in America. It's because so much farmland is going to waste. And currency depreciation, inflation, is because Joe Biden's in office.
And not to mention all the food processors that are being seriously blown up.
Yeah. Are there more?
There's one almost every. It's insane, the number.
Wow.
There are websites that are tracking. It is insane. They just keep burning up. Not weird. Well, I mean, we knew this is what they wanted to do. They said they wanted. So Donald Trump announced he's running president in 2004 finally.
Yep, I heard that.
And then he threatened DeSantis. He sells DeSantis if he runs for president, he's going to be doing info dumps on him and saying things that DeSantis would be embarrassed by. I don't know. I don't know if he's just joking.
Why would Trump roll that out at this point? What I mean, that's
maybe just to say back the heck off. Or
I know, but why not approach the guy personally and say, "Hey, let's have a conversation. We want to make sure that things go well for the country." Because this makes Trump look like a jerk, and it's going to throw a bunch of people into DeSantis' camp.
I don't know. I'll bet they probably already talked or went through not public channels.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe DeSantis is saying, "No, I think you're the wrong man for the job I'm going to run," and Trump thinks this is the way to get him to back down. But
the thing is, I'm not really a DeSantis fan. I mean, I think he's okay. The fact that the rhinos would stand behind DeSantis tells me he's the wrong guy. But
yeah, exactly.
The thing is, Trump will not admit state.
Yeah.
Number one, he didn't
during
drain
COVID.
The swamp. And number two, during COVID, he pushed for the country to shut down for quote whatever the hell that was. And third of all, he keeps taking credit.
And the vaccine is horrible.
Why does
the vaccine keeps killing people? Yeah.
People hate the vaccine. Why won't he understand? Why won't he at least say, "Yeah, it was my mistake. I gave them too much power."
Take blame rather than credit.
Yeah. He's shooting himself in the foot. And to be honest, if he doesn't come out against the vaccine, I gotta go against it. I can't be with him if he's not going to come out against the vaccine.
This vaccine that keeps killing people.
This vaccine is bad.
Yeah.
If he's not going to do that, he's lost my vote. As much as I loved it, still love him. But you can't, I don't know. It's some people, it's like no matter how real things are, they won't get out of their fantasy. And he's in a fantasy world now, or it seems like it.
Yeah.
Let's see. NASA launches Artemis 1 mission after months of delays. Artemis 1 is the newest space launch that they're going to be using over the next 8 years.
So is this a thing to be able to carry a probe up to a launching station in space and then launch it from there?
I don't know. I don't think so. It's just
or is it a new launch system?
It's just a new launch system, and it's supposed to be better than the other ones.
Than the shuttle? I mean, the shuttle was a revolution in launch systems because it allowed the shuttle itself to be relaunched and reused. Right. So they could take massive payloads compared to what they could do before.
I don't think this is revolutionary. It's just more, it's just better. It's just
okay.
More, what's the word I'm looking for?
Evolutionary? Like an evolution of the next step?
Like when a furnace is better over time, they make them better and better. They're more efficient. I think it's just more efficient.
More efficient, yeah. But that's evolution rather than revolution.
Right. It's not revolution. So, I think, unless I read something wrong here. That's what I can. So this bishop gives a talk at Interfaith Summit, and he's calling for an end to Islamic violence. And he pointed out how the Islamic extremists, which to me, we should all be extremists. We should be Catholic.
If you claim to believe in a religion, you should do so extremely.
Yeah.
I'm an extremist Catholic.
Yeah. So a Muslim, I would think, should have in his heart the desire to kill Christians, because that's what the religion is. So I don't think, to call him an extremist, why say extremist? Why not just say Muslim? The Muslims are killing Catholic Christians. And this bishop kind of spoke out against, but then he said, we forgive those who murdered us, who tortured us, who raped us, who sought to destroy everything about us. We forgive them in the name of Christ, says this Archbishop of Iraq. I just think, I don't think that's the right way of talking about this. I know you forgive your enemy, you forgive the people who persecute. And as Christians, we always have forgiven the people who put us to death. But when you have a pulpit, you speak out against. I don't know.
Well, not only that, I would say you forgive those who ask for forgiveness.
That's another.
You love your enemy. Jesus said, love your enemy. Do good to those who persecute. That doesn't mean you have to trust them.
Maybe pray for them.
Pray for them, yes.
When Thomas More was being led to be beheaded, he prayed for the members of state who were putting him to death. And he actually, I don't know if he did or not. It was common tip, if you were being martyred, you would tip the axe.
Oh, the executioner?
To show forgiveness.
I didn't know that.
So, and I think he did that. But, I don't know, to make a big announcement about forgiving them. And then another thing is he says ours is now a missionary role to give daily witness to the teachings of Christ and blah, 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 about forgiveness, humility, love, and peace. And then he says, lest there be any confusion here, I am not speaking of conversion. Rather,
well, why not?
Speaking of, what isn't that?
That's what the witness is all about. We witness in order to convert.
That's why you do it.
All those saints that you prepared while we were doing a weekly saint, it's like so many of them, that's exactly what they did. They witnessed in order to convert, and then the converts were witnesses too. They were martyred.
Right. Often, like a witness, someone who was being martyred, stood up and witnessed, and people right there on the spot converted and were martyred right there on the spot. It was a reoccurring theme, and it's like it just seems like a dumb way of doing it.
Conversion is exactly what we. In fact, without conversion, those souls are lost and damned to hell.
And I think this might tie into the fact that Pope Francis keeps putting down, evangelization.
Yeah, converting people.
He talks about it as if it's a sin. I think he even said it was a sin. And maybe this has to do with that. Or maybe, okay, it could be that there's a law in Iraq against trying to convert Muslims.
Oh, and so this guy is making sure that he steers clear of that law.
That could be it, which I guess I can't blame him. You are a bishop, but whatever. You are called to martyr. That's why you wear red, but whatever.
Yeah, okay. But that could be why he says it that way, knowing that if you witness properly, you will convert people. Maybe that's kind of what's in it.
How long has it been since the whole COVID thing started?
It was like right at the end of 2019.
Cardinal Cupich just now reinstated Sunday Mass hall in Chicago.
Seriously? Yeah. This is Chicago, right? Cupich, Chicago. So all this time, the Catholics in Chicago were not required to go to Sunday Mass?
It's like okay, there are some people who are maybe salvageable, who are savable, and we need to get rid of those people too. If they're not hardcore Christians, all we got to do is just tell them you don't have to go to Mass every week, and there goes your strength to live out the Christian life, So if he was trying to figure out a way to get rid of the bulk of Catholics who were maybe barely there than he did, and now they're never coming back. And it's like,
even after he reinstates it.
Yeah, he's such a bad guy. There's nothing you can say. It's so bad. Tennessee lawmakers introduced a bill to ban puberty blockers, sex change. Well,
good.
I put that, there's a bunch of other trans news, but I just put that in there because I was going to bring out what I had already talked about, those operations. They seemed to make smell. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I can't believe that people are not told, you know?
I know. It's something like that ought to be common knowledge, especially, you know, if kids are actually, like, asking their school counselors to bypass their parents and get this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like a 12-year-old. I think a lot of these are just looking for attention. I think a lot of other ones are so oversexed because of pornography. It's real dysphoria. They just don't know what's going on because they've just been invaded since childhood, and now they think the solution is to be a woman or be a man when they're not.
Yeah.
But doesn't anyone tell them if this is true? I mean, it just seems like it should be one of the first things they understand about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If I were contemplating doing something, even if that thing was going to save my life, like if somebody said, look, you have colon cancer, we need to do this in order, because otherwise there's a 50% chance you'll die, but for the rest of your life you'll need a diaper. I would be like,
or a colostomy bag or something, right?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and
it's like, I'll
take my chances.
I'll stick with the cancer.
Yeah, but just to try to get your brain straight about what sex you are, that's...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially since it's so capricious. I mean, I think on an earlier podcast, I brought up the guy that I went to a podcast that whoever, I forget even who it was interviewing this psychiatrist who deals with this gender. Yeah, and he tells the parents. He advises the parents. He says, okay, the first thing, just take social media away from your child. And in 100% of the cases where he can get the parents to do that, the problem resolves itself and the kid quits wanting to be the other sex within like 6 weeks.
That's so illustrative of the real nature of the problem.
Yeah.
So Latin Mass will be suppressed at New Jersey Church a year after Pope Francis crackdown. So this is Bishop James Ciccio. Look, this isn't Ciccio doing what Pope Francis told him he had to do.
Right, this is
We've illustrated that these bishops do not have to put these, according to the wording of the document, Traditionis Custodes, if you look through the document and take the wording exactly,
right,
then
at face value,
none of these masses needed to be suppressed.
Right. No bishop had to actually suppress the use of the traditional.
Yeah, this is just BS. This is bishops. I don't know. I mean, they're using it as an excuse, but it's BS.
Yeah.
And it's not generally not the priests, it's the bishops. According to the article, and I'm getting this from LifeSite News, since Traditionis Custodes, 73 dioceses around the world suppressed Latin masses, and a third of those dioceses canceled all Latin.
Wow.
And I think Latin Mass means traditional Latin.
Yeah, I'm sure. You rarely find a Novus Ordo Latin Mass.
I don't know why. I think Old St.
They used to. That's where I used to go every Sunday. And I would go to the traditional Mass where Mom sang. In fact, Terry and I were married at a Novus Ordo Latin.
Were you?
Yeah.
No, you...
Yeah, we were.
How does that work?
What the priest did, well, you just say the Mass, but it's in Latin.
Wait a minute, no. I was your best man.
So what he did was the first part of the Mass, what we call the Liturgy of the Word, where they do the readings and stuff, he did that in English for the sake of all those people who were there who were not Catholic, so that they would get that part of it. And then, as soon as the Eucharistic prayer started, actually, just before that, as soon as, like at the Credo, we switched into Latin.
But why don't I...
I don't know. Because you were used to hearing it that way anyway. Because Mom had been doing her Mass for a long time. Well,
I wasn't
for months.
Going to that yet.
For months by then.
I wasn't
going
to that yet. I didn't start going to that until I had kids.
I don't know.
Well,
you were you were there. That's how they did it.
All right. I have no memory.
In fact, I probably still have a program because I did programs up and I had a bunch of them printed that had the Latin and English side by side.
Pennsylvania reelected their Democratic state Tony DeLuca, even though he's dead. That shows you what kind of shenanigans go on.
That shows you what kind of shenanigans go on in election.
Yeah. Let's see. 9 communities in Texas and Nebraska become sanctuaries on midterms election. So I guess these are the point of these cities is that not only does it prohibit abortion from being performed in those, but it prohibits abortions being performed on the residents of those cities.
Oh, if you're a resident of that city and you go outside the city, get an abortion, you run afoul of that city's law and you can be prosecuted.
So you go out.
Or if you live in that city and you practice, like let's say you're an abortionist, you live in that city, you go do your abortions in another city, you still run afoul of that city's laws.
I don't know about that one.
Well, hopefully both.
Yeah. But the point is that it protects the unborn as if they really are a person, where it's like...
Which they are.
I can't go to the city next door and kill someone and then come back, and it's like, whoa, you had a kid when you left. Where is he? You're going to get in trouble. I mean, let's say you have a 5-year-old and you go to Mexico and come back without the 5-year-old. I don't think you could just do that. You're going to get...
Well, here's the weird thing about that, because this is going to invite some jurisdictional scrutiny, because I mean, let's say it's not Mexico. Let's say you're in Ohio and you go over to, say, Indiana. You kill your kid, you come back to Ohio. Ohio actually doesn't have jurisdiction to prosecute that crime. Only Indiana does.
You'll be extradited.
Yeah, I mean, but if Indiana chose not to prosecute the crime, you're free and clear as far you know. Ohio
with murder
can't do anything about that.
Yeah, I know. That's what I have a feeling this hold up.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think there's a jurisdictional issue here.
Not that I'm against the idea. It's just that we use laws to accomplish things, and we have to use those laws as laws. I don't know. It'd be better if surrounding cities and states also outlaw.
Yeah.
That's what we should be pushing
But the thing is, here's the thing. It shows the heart of that city.
Yeah.
So that, you know, it's like, oh, okay, these people think the way I think. Maybe that's where I belong.
That is true.
So it's that kind of dynamic.
Yeah. Whether or not they could actually prosecute someone doesn't really matter. The point is, this is how much we think that the fetus is a human being. Mm-hmm. But yeah, okay, so look, you gave me a middle point where someone in Ohio goes to India. But what if someone in Ohio goes to Mexico and comes back? What happens? Whose jurisdiction? Can Ohio do anything about it? What if you even walk around and say, yeah, I killed him down there, or I killed my wife?
That's a good question. I mean, even if you admit it, because
I come back without her. Oh, I killed her while I was down there.
Because like that, see, that's one of those things where like a person wouldn't really do that because Mexico would apply for extradition and be arrested, transported back to Mexico, and tried for a crime committed on Mexican soil.
Maybe.
With regards to murder. But if it's something that Mexico doesn't consider a crime, and you came back and said, yeah, I did this, but your local state considered a crime, well, you did it out of that state. They would not be able to prosecute.
Yeah, I know, but even if Mexico... Look,
if Mexico refused
to prosecute you, but if they didn't, then what?
Yeah,
you got away with
then
murder?
You got away with it, yeah. If Mexico refused to prosecute it, then you got away with it.
Because it's not like Mexico is a person, and somebody could call Mexico and say, hey, this dude killed his wife while he was down there. It would be more like a certain jurisdiction would have to know that it took place there.
Right.
And they would have to do
the particular city or something like that down in Mexico.
It sounds like it's really easy to commit murder outside the...
Maybe. But see, that's the thing where it's like, okay, if you did that and then, you know, the Ohio, let's say the Cincinnati, let's say you live there. and then they would get with the Ohio Attorney General, who would get with the State Department, who would reach out to, the proper place in Mexico or something like that. I think that's how it would work.
That's probably what would happen. But if you were,
if you just came back to Cincinnati and said, "Oh yeah, I killed her while I was in Mexico," I don't think the Cincinnati authorities could prosecute you for that murder. Maybe I'm wrong.
I should invite the Mike DeWine murderer down to Mexico. Let's go on a trip to Mexico.
You can talk him into that.
That's all the news I got.
All right. Well, I got a few. I just sent one as kind of like a full. I don't know if you get my emails or not. Yeah. But let's see. All right. So first, apparently some guys in Wyoming who, I don't know, like they look like tryouts for ZZ Top, claim that they have achieved a new world record for the longest beard chain. So they clip their beards together. Doesn't really look like they're having fun.
No, they look kind of miserable. But
they look like, because think of that. If you're trying to set the world record, you want to stretch that as far as possible. So you're kind of standing where it's kind of pulling your hair there a little bit.
I only see 3 guys. It was more than 3 guys.
I know, and then there's another one below that kind of shows them putting the clips on.
Yeah,
but they say measured 150 feet long, more than double the previous record set in 2007. To participate, you have to have a beard that's at least 8 inches. So when I was a kid, so our dad used to work at, it had so many different names over the years. As master addresser, master copy service, and
it's where
you
I
work for them now.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I would go with him there once in a while, and he had this area down in the basement where he could work on machines and do stuff. And they had this cool thing down there. It was a paper cutter, and this was just the awesomest thing. You could take a stack of paper almost as big as you. I mean, you could put 1,000 sheets. You could put like 1,500, 3 reams of paper, and set it under there, and you turned the wheel to lower the grip that would basically like a vice that would clamp the paper down, and then you had these 2 buttons. Now these 2 buttons were placed like where you'd had to press both of them together. And in order to do that, you had to stretch your arms out a little bit because it wanted to make absolutely sure that your hands were not in there when this thing came down. But you press these 2 buttons, and this blade came down, and it just cut through whatever paper you had in there. It was really cool.
Yeah.
So I got Dad to cut me like a whole bunch, like thousands and thousands of these strips of paper and I took them back home and I had them set up in a box, and I just like spent like several days in my room making a paper chain.
I remember that.
I thought I had this idea in my head that I was going to be famous for making the world's longest paper chain.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Billy Ginley or Victor Compton that was part of that. I remember them being in the house.
It was Billy Ginley. He helped me for a while.
Yeah.
And maybe Tony Compton. I never hung around with Victor Compton, but Tony would come over once in a while.
Tony.
Which, by the way, if you ever run into him with his wife, don't call him Tony. Call him Scott. She gets upset when people call him Tony.
They still have that same paper.
Down.
I used it.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to make a little tablet. Glue heads.
Oh yeah, he had the glue stuff. I remember that.
So, yeah. So I have some, and it's sitting in my living room now, waiting for to give it. But he worked on a lot of neat stuff. I remember when I must have been. I don't think I was in school yet. I must have been barely in school. I don't know. But I was very, very young. And remember, Dad used to take us to work in a while. Mm-hmm. I don't know how he got. Like, I could never do that.
I know. How was he able to do that? But also, why was he doing that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I know that I went. It was in the back room of some little shop, and they had a machine that the envelope would come in. It would pick up a metal plate with an address stamped into the plate.
Yeah.
And use that stamp to impress
the
address on the envelope and then move on. And they kept looking at it and looking at it together, and it would do one cycle and then it would stop. Huh. And I'm sitting there watching them for like a half hour trying to figure out why it kept stopping. Why wasn't it? And I'm looking at the thing that turns, and there's this little thing sticking out, and I could see it hitting a little corner or something. I'm like, what about that? And I pointed it out, and that's what it was. It's the first machine I ever fixed.
That's funny.
The first machine I ever fixed was specifically for the same company I'm working for now. When I was, I don't know, 10 years old maybe.
And now you just replace a board.
Yeah. Okay. I'm done. It's you. Okay.
All right. Nope, it's me. That's right. Okay, next one. Okay, so Kentucky Fried Chicken, I guess they have an app. You can get an app for Kentucky Fried Chicken. To me, that's weird all by itself.
Yeah.
But in their app, they ordered people to, or they urged people to put in their orders for Kristallnacht, which is like Glass Night or Crystal Night. This was a night. I don't know whether this is a commemoration that is like, you know, the way we commemorated Roe versus Wade. So Jews might commemorate it in that way. Okay, you know what I mean? Okay. But this was a night when Nazis basically went and terrorized Jews throughout Germany and Austria. And so KFC is kind of like putting this alert out, hey, you know, go get your chicken for Kristallnacht so you can celebrate it properly or whatever.
Yeah, okay. I can see how they would make the mistake, but it's like...
Well, I mean, apparently a lot of this stuff is like through AIs and stuff that are looking at various cultures and trying to sort of glean up their all of their various celebratory moments or whatever so that they can, you know, it's basically... the corporation trying to, you know, get their wedge in on everybody's celebrations so that they can make a little bit of extra money by saying, hey, do Kentucky Fried Chicken for this.
So I wonder if it was it's KFC, the company that did this, or one branch or something, or like one store. You know what I mean?
No, it's not a store. I mean, it is the company because it's their app.
KFC Germany. Okay.
Yeah, it's KFC Germany doing it on their app. But it was like a partially automated process that nobody who was supposed to review these things before they went out, nobody caught it.
Okay. Well, see, that's what you get when you rely on AI for marketing.
Well, yeah.
Second of all, marketing is always better at the local level, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And when when you have a national marketing campaign, it's just dumb because it's not going to do it. When you have thousands of stores, why try to push something national? Why not pass it on to the store and say, do this or don't do it? You know, why not suggest it to the stores? That way the stores, if some stores are like, oh man, we can't say that.
Because the managers know what their culture is about.
Yeah, that's just it. The managers know, and it's like, I'm not going to say this. Are you dumb?
Are you nuts? Yeah.
I don't know. It's the globalization. It's the kind of thing that happens in globalization.
That's exactly. I think this is kind of part of what to expect as things continue in that direction.
Yeah.
All right.
It's also what happens when companies try to get in on religious celebrations. Like I can accept,
it's kind of like a stay in your lane kind of, you know.
I can accept like Arby's selling fish during Lent.
Yeah.
But it would be kind of a turnoff if they promoted, I don't know, if they tried to get you to fast, you know?
Oh.
Or, you know, or something like that. I mean...
Wait a minute, you're a restaurant.
Yeah. Don't tell me about my religion. Don't tell me about... Or they tried to get me to not eat meat. Hey, eat fish because it's Lent. It's like...
Yeah, what are you doing? That's exactly...
Stay out of this. You sell...
If you want to sell me some fish, okay, but don't try to instruct me.
Yeah. Oh, well.
All right, next. So I don't know. When I think of this, so I read it. So This is a TSA thing. Apparently, they found a handgun stuffed inside of raw chicken in luggage at an airport. Now, it was in a raw chicken, and when I think of putting the handgun into the raw chicken, the only thing I could think of was every time I tell you, hey, guess what?
Chicken butt. Oh, gosh. Why did they think that the TSA wouldn't find it?
I have no idea.
It's a chicken.
It's a stick. Now, apparently you are allowed to carry raw meat on not only in your bag, but like check bag, but even on board as long as it's properly packed in ice. Obviously, you're not allowed to put firearms inside of the raw meat.
But they x-ray everything. I just went
through everything goes through those machines.
No matter
and
what
you know
it
what?
is.
Here's the thing. If you do have raw meat packed in ice, it'll go through the machine and they'll say, yes, you're allowed to do that, but we're going to take a look at that real quick.
Yeah, but it's not like the ice and the raw meat will hide
the gun. Exactly.
They'll see the shape of it, be like, dude, you got a gun in there. No, it's just a chicken.
That's just the shape of his bones.
Wow, that's stupid.
I know. I don't get it. There's somebody in Florida. Maybe a Mexican guy had it because it's South Florida, drug things. I don't know, whatever. Cuba, maybe.
I hate them with passion. Yeah. I would be so happy if I never had to go to another airport. I will drive 6 hours to avoid going 8 hours, actually.
You know what? I'm that way, too. 'Cause,
I think 8 hours is my limit.
If I have to go on a business trip at work... Now, here's the thing. I know that there's a point at which my work will say, no, we're not going to allow you to do that. You have to fly. Yeah. But it's like, if it's 8 hours or less, I'm driving.
Yeah. My boss
That's how I am.
He gave me a choice. I think it was like a 8-hour drive or whatever plane ride, and he said, "What would you rather?" I said, "What do you think I'd rather?" He said, "Yeah, I know. I just wanted to give you the choice." Yeah.
Now the thing is, and like my work will pay for travel time, but if it's like, okay, it'll take you 6 hours to fly there. If you're going to drive, you can drive, but that's on your own time, other than the 6 hours that it would take to fly.
Okay, but here's the thing. So my travel time is from the time I leave the hotel to the time I walk in my front door.
Yeah.
That's my travel time, which is fair. Last time, when I was in California, I ended up spending 15 hours because of a delayed flight in the airport, unable to leave because it was in another city. That would end up being close to 20 hours.
Yeah.
I guess I couldn't drive home in 20 hours, but I wonder how long it would take for me to drive home from where I am now. If they did that again, and it's something like that's likely to happen, because next week is Thanksgiving, ain't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So everybody's traveling.
Everybody's going to be traveling.
And if I get to the airport and they're like, oh, okay, this is going to have to change, and now you're going to have to wait X number of hours. I've already checked out of the hotel. I no longer have the rental car. I don't know. I might look into driving home, even though it's like a 2-day trip. I don't know how. I have no idea how far away. I've never driven.
You're in El Paso. You've never driven to Texas.
I've never driven to Texas, so maybe it's an 8-day trip. I don't know.
It's not an 8-day trip. I know. I mean, I think if you like to drive and would spend a lot of time driving, I think you do it in 2 days. Other than that, maybe 3 days.
But you have to.
Although that's what I'm thinking, like hotels and stuff. Yeah, when I say a day, I mean like if you're going to drive for a 12-hour day, maybe 2. If you're going to drive for an 8-hour day, maybe 3. Like that.
I would probably do a 16-hour day.
Wow.
I have no problem.
Well, you could do it in 2. I think you could do it although El Paso, that's pretty far deep into Texas, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, I'm right next to Mexico.
That's what I'm thinking. El Paso's the city where Terry, we were in Michigan, and we wanted to get out of Michigan, and she was just basically applying everywhere to VA audiology job. Well, so she applied to a position in El Paso, and they didn't call her for an interview or get back with her and say, hey, okay, let's set up a time to talk. They simply sent her a job offer. I think it's because they can't find anyone to work down there.
There's a lot of people down here. And to be honest, I don't think so. Like, okay, you know how it is I know how it is in Indianapolis, and it's even worse in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Most restaurants, except for ones in very good areas, it's like they're running on half the staff.
Oh, right.
The service is terrible. Everything's terrible. Everybody's mean and grouchy. I won't go to a restaurant in my neighborhood because I don't want anyone that angry working on my food or that rude. So I'll make my own before I go to a restaurant. None of the restaurants I visited here in El Paso have been like that.
Wow.
They've all been very nice, cordial, and generally clean. And it could just be the area I'm in, because I'm in the area right around the airport, and I haven't really strayed far from that.
But still, wow.
But everything seems to be functioning really well here.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, anyway, my last, I sent you this while we were doing our stuff as kind of a last one. There's a guy, a Chinese guy, who ran it says sub 3.3 marathon. Oh, that's the time. Under 3 hours, 3.5 hours, or 3.3, under 3 hours and 20 minutes. Anyway, placed 574th out of over 1,500 runners. And he is a chain smoker. In fact, they show him smoking cigarettes while he's running.
Smoking while he's running. Wow.
Well, the reason because I originally had kind of rejected that as a story to talk about, but you were talking about smoking and stuff. We were talking about smoking on like the podcast and stuff like that, and that reminded me, I'm going to go ahead and include that.
Here's the thing, I kept planning to stop smoking because I figure I'm in a hotel. I'm not allowed to smoke anyway.
Yeah.
I may as well use this week. But
to do it right.
I haven't been successful in that. I just smoke a lot less, but I didn't go through. Maybe when I get back. I don't know. Stop smoking is one of those things you just tend to procrastinate on, I guess, pretty much forever. Until you've got emphysema, you're dying of... I don't know. People quit. Some people quit. I must be able to.
Yeah.
All right, well, what about trivia? We got a trivia question?
Yep, we do. Let me roll the dice real quick, and it comes up number 5. So, numbers again. The question is, how many seals were on the book that was told about in the book of Revelation? You remember John is watching the angels, and there's one that they're going to open the book. There were these seals on the book, a certain number of them.
I want to assume 7.
That's what I'm remembering. I'm thinking 7 seals because but I know there were like 7 bowls that they poured out. Were there also 7 seals on the book?
I thought there.
Or was it only 4 bowls? Maybe there were 7 seals, but the bowls were poured out like between seal number 5 and 6 or something like that.
I seem to remember some like who will open the 7th.
Okay. All right.
The
first
one could only be opened by Christ. I don't know.
Yeah, the only the Lamb is worthy or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, we are correct. It is 7.
Finally got one right.
Yeah. Revelation 5, and I saw in the right hand of him who was seated on the throne a scroll written within, and on the back sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the scroll and break its seals? And no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or to look into it. And I wept much that no one was found worthy to open the scroll or to look into it. Then one of the elders said to me, weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, talking about Jesus, has conquered so that he can open the scroll and its 7.
You know, Apocalypse is one of those things that people get so wound up in. And
oh, yeah. Like trying to match specific things to specific things.
Right. I don't want to say it's pointless because there's a lot of history in Revelation. But I don't know. It's like Fulton Sheen always said, prophecy is to look back on, not to look forward.
Yeah.
Unless it's a specific warning about a specific, hey.
Yeah, like the Lady at Fatima, stuff like that.
Yeah. But even then, the prophecy is there for the sake of people to look back on and say, see, he said this and it happened. Hey, maybe we better start praying the rosary.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of the rosary, as always,
go raw and circle the beads.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.